Hey folks, this is Scott at the X-Fed Homestead. Well, today we're going to plant one of my favorite vegetables of all time, and of course, if you know anything about me, you know that's potatoes. I absolutely love potatoes, and I'm very happy that we can start planting today. So I'm going to show you how I plant potatoes in the garden. So let's get to work. Now every year these beds get a little bit better. This bed is about 3 years old and it has really good soil in it. I'm going to take my hoe and make a furrow down each side of this row about a foot apart, and I'm going to make them as deep as I can and put the potatoes in the bottom of that. Later on, in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so, I'm going to come back with some more compost that I've been growing over the winter, and I'm going to side dress these potatoes and build up the soil as well over the potatoes that are growing, over the stems of the potato plants as they grow up. I want to hill up the soil to cover those potatoes. And once I add that compost, I think they're going to do fantastic this year. So let's look forward to that. And now I can make the furrows to put the potatoes in using my ancient hoe. And you'll notice I hold the hoe sideways. I don't need all this width in order to plant one potato. I just make it a little over a potato wide, so I use the hoe sideways. Well, there's a good lesson. Now you can see here, these are my Yukon potatoes, my Yukon Gold potatoes from last year, and these have been in the cellar all winter long, and so I've been letting them grow this spring, and they're getting some nice stems on them. You don't have to wait until they're this far along to put them in the ground, but I want them to last long through the winter, and these lasted the best of any potatoes I've ever seen. So I'm going to put these in the ground, and these are going to develop leaves. These will be up above the ground, and they'll develop leaves on them in short order. So in a week or two, you're going to see some nice green leaves on here, and these potatoes are going to be off to the races. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll take these eyes that are on the potatoes that are growing, and if they want to make more potato plants, what they'll do is they'll cut so that 2 or 3 eyes are on each side of the potato that they cut. Say you cut it in half. Large potatoes you can cut bigger, but this potato, I'm just going to throw it in the ground just as they are. I've got plenty of them. It's more than enough that I'll need for the winter and to store through the fall and into next spring. So I'm just going to put them in as is without cutting them. I might have told this story, but my wife was a school teacher, and years ago she had her students come here to do a gardening block and learn something about farming and gardening. And so I had them plant potatoes and dig up the ground because kids love to dig. And I just found this potato stick here that I wrote on this stick. It's just for painters to stir their paint. And I had it and wrote potato stick on it and told them, put the potato in the ground, then put the potato stick, and at the end, plant another potato. So this is 14 inches long, so that's how far the spacing was. But it was a simple guide in order for the children to get it right. And at the end of the year, I entered vegetables that they planted in my garden into the town fair. Our local county fair, as I've said before, is the oldest in the country. And so their vegetables won a few ribbons. So it was a really nice thing for the third graders. Well, that looks pretty good. I have some russet potatoes. I'm going to plant those tomorrow. I have them up there curing on the porch, and I think that's enough room for them to go. So I'll do that tomorrow. Now you'll notice when I planted my potatoes, I didn't plant them that deep. I used a hoe to dig a trench about 4 to 5 inches deep, and then put the potato in there and covered it up. So it's almost even with the surface. But I'm gonna go back with compost, so that will get it under the surface more. I'm gonna side dress it or top dress it with compost, which I have plenty of. And that way I'm hoping that in the late summer when I start to harvest, they're not gonna be really deep into the ground, but they'll grow more up than down. And so I did that last year. I didn't have to dig as deep for my potatoes, and that saves your back a little extra work. So I'm gonna try that this year as well. And so grow them in a shallow trench and then top dress them is the protocol that I'm going to use this year. Well, we were able to plant my Yukon Golds potatoes today, and I think they're gonna work out great. They do every year, and they store very well. They're a great potato. Tomorrow, I will plant the Russet potatoes, and I haven't planted those before, but I'm gonna give that a shot as well. So, good day for potatoes. I hope you learned something, and I wanted to tell you I really appreciate people watching these videos, learning something about gardening, and hitting the like and subscribe button. I greatly appreciate that. So thank you, and from the X-Fed Homestead, we'll see you next time.